What is up, guys? It's Broken JPEG. Welcome back to a new video. Today I'll be going over my entire CD collection as of January 2023. Of course, I will be updating you guys on my music collection in the future. It just won't be a full video like this. It'll be a small update just containing the CDs or vinyl records or DVDs I've gotten just in that span of time. So, let's get started with my main CD rack here. Of course, it's pretty empty because I've been moving stuff off of it to fit more new stuff on it. So we're going to start off at the top here with 311. We're going to begin with their 1993 debut record, Music. Once again, it came out in 1993 under Capricorn Records. Although this specific pressing is the 1996 Club reissue, Club Edition, but it is the 1996 reissue. So that is Music. Next up is their second record, Grassroots, released in 1994 under Capricorn Records. Okay, this record, there's 3 versions of the album art, and only 2 variants of the back cover. But the album art, this specific version is the version that probably most people would own, is where it says 311 Grassroots up here at the top. But really early pressings of this record had this text moved down, had this text down here, and the image was flipped upside down. And then there's a second variant that the 311 logo is really big, and it says Grassroots underneath it, like right here. But that original pressing, the early one, like the text on the back cover, like for the track listing, was like graffiti text. But obviously, I have just, standard issue of it. But this is a copy from '94. Next up is the one that most people have heard of. It is the self-titled, also known as the Blue Album, released in 1995 on Capricorn Records. I own 2 copies of this. This is the most recent one. This is the first one I owned. It's also from 1995. But you see the disc here. The disc of the one I'm having on my CD rack looks different, you can clearly tell. But this album has such, big hits such as Down and All Mixed Up and Don't Stay Home. Like, those are the bigger tracks on the record. There is a space between this and the next record that is going to hold an EP, but I don't have the EP yet, so we're just going to move over to Transistor, released in 1997 under Capricorn Records. This is their second longest release and their most longest in track listing. There's 21 tracks. Well, technically 22 if you count the Transistor intro, but that doesn't immediately play when you put this in a CD player. But great album overall. And there's a gap between this and the next album that's going to hold the 311 live record, but I don't own that one either. So once again, we're going to jump up to Sound System, released in 1999 under Capricorn Records. This is their final release under Capricorn Records, and this CD comes in 2 different styles of packaging. Of course, your main one, which is the one I am holding here, comes in this stylish digipack fold-out cover. But then there's another release, which is just, in a standard jewel case. Which I'd rather own that release, but it's much, it just fits the whole collection if I own the original. Next up is From Chaos, released in 2001 under the new record label Volcano. I think I remember reading about how Volcano Records got the rights to Capricorn stuff, and then they reissued everything under Volcano. But this has got another really big song on it. It's called Amber. next up is another, consider it be a more popular 311 record. It's Evolver, released in 2003 under Volcano Records. This has got the big song Creatures for a While on it. That's it for 311 for now. So we're going to move on to Sublime with the self-titled record. I'm planning on getting more Sublime. I had 40 Ounces of Freedom, but I gave it to a friend because I was planning on getting a better looking copy in the first place. This is the club release. But what's even more weird is that this is a copy that not many people sure know of the date of when it was pressed. But all you know is that you can tell by the barcode. And look, it's a club release. And next up, we're going to go to Incubus. And we're going to start with one of my most prized possessions of my entire record collection, as the Fungus Among Us. Released in 1995, originally released in 1995 under Chillum Records, which is the pressing here, but then was re-released in 2000 under the major label, which I'll get into here. But I do not own the reissue yet. I only own the original, but once I get the original, I'm never playing this bitch again. Next up, we go to Incubus' major debut EP. Enjoy Incubus, the EP, released in 1996 under Epic and Immortal, or Immortal and Epic Records. There you go. But this contains re-recordings of four songs. Four songs on Fungus Among Us, which is "You'll Be a Hot Dancer," "Shaft," "Take Me to Your Leader," and "Halakas," and two new songs, "Version" and "As We Think We Is." As We Think We Is actually appeared on a little demo 7-inch vinyl 2 years prior to this. So that's very interesting. Next up is my favorite Incubus record, Science, released in 1997 under Immortal and Epic Records. This specific release is the original US pressing from 1997, which has an enhanced Flash video game on it. It's an enhanced CD that has a Flash video game on it. And that's dope as fuck. But that's got the bigger song, which is A Certain Shade of Green. Next up is Make Yourself. I had the hype sticker, but the case broke, and I had to put it into a new one, and it ripped the hype sticker, so phooey. This came out in 1999 under Epic and Immortal. They swapped, I don't know why. This is their most commercially successful record. I think selling at 2 million, probably 3 million copies. So it's got a multi-platinum. But it's got, the bigger songs, just Stellar, Drive, and Pardon Me. Those are really big Incubus tracks. There's a space for an Incubus EP that I don't own yet, which I'm already planning on buying. Next up is another really famous Incubus record, Morning View. And this one does have the hype sticker, which is intact, fully intact. This came out in 2001 under Epic and Immortal Records. And this has got the really famous song Wish You Were Here on it. And then the other single on here was Nice to Know You. That was the other big name single. Warning and Are You In were singles. I don't remember if Warning was a single or not, but I remember seeing it being a single. Anyway. Next up. Okay, so in this span... Okay, I should have mentioned with Science of Enjoy Incubus. When Enjoy Incubus was being recorded, they introduced the DJ, which was DJ Life, who actually didn't even appear on the Fungus Among Us record, but did appear on the Enjoy Incubus release to help with scratches on those songs. And they sound really, really cool. So Science was the first album he was on, but sadly, in some point in the next year, he was fired from the band, and then DJ Kilmore took his place for the recordings of Make Yourself. And he's obviously still in the band now, but Morning View was the last record to have their original bassist, Alex Katunich, or Dirk Lance, as he's most well known by. So the next record introduces the new bass player, Ben Kenny, It's a Crow Left of the Murder, once again with the hype sticker. This came out in 2003 under Epic and Immortal Records. This has also got a couple really popular songs, such as Megalomaniac, Agoraphobia, and Talk Shows on Mute. Those were pretty good songs. This album's great overall, though. Next up is a Incubus album that not many people really love to pay attention to, but I love it. It is Light Grenades. This came out in 2006 under Epic and Immortal Records. This has got the pretty popular Dig and Anomaly, which actually is actually pronounced Anomaly. It's a wordplay of Anomaly. Next up is the final Incubus CD I've got to show for y'all. It is If Not Now When, released in 2011 under Epic and Immortal Records. This CD came in 2 packages, just like Sound System for 311. You've got the standard release, which was a digipack fold-out cover, and then this other release, which is the jewel case, which I opted for the jewel case because 1, it was the cheapest option, and 2, I just like the way it looks better. Also, it's got really cool orange spines, which don't fit the whole color scheme of the record at all. Next up, we're going to go to the only CD I have by this band, and they are The Urge, with Receiving the Gift of Flavor. This was released in 1995 under Epic and Immortal Records. You probably already could have guessed that. This wasn't originally released. Actually, no, this CD was reissued in 1996. The actual album came out in 1995 under right here, Neat Guy Records, which is the record label that The Urge own themselves. They release their own music on now. But the track Take Away was not actually on that release. It was actually a song called Killing Is Easy, but that was removed, probably for reasons. This CD also had the hype sticker, the bright yellow hype sticker that mentioned the songs Brainless and All Washed Up, which were the 2 singles off this album. But once again, just like Make Yourself, the case broke and it tore the hype sticker, and I was very pissed about that. So I just had to go with this. And now I'm moving down here to this spot, that place down here. This spot down here that has more CDs. I'll move this 311 back up here for right now as a placeholder. Yeah, there we go. Now it looks more filled. Okay. I might as well just bring out all the CDs. So, hold on a second. Alright, just got done moving this massive stack. It's more than up here. Massive stuff of CDs. I can't even count off the top of my head how many are right here. I'm guessing around 30. Anyway, we're going to begin with another really popular metal band, Korn, with their 1994 debut record. It's the Cell Tower record, released under Immortal Epic. This is in reissue. Don't know when it was pressed, but this has got, the very famous Blind on it. But yeah. Next up is their second record, Life is Peachy, released in 1996 under Epic and Immortal Records. This is also an enhanced CD, which has, I think, a music video on it. This was also a reissue that I don't know when it was pressed. But this is also the first CD I ever bought with my money. This was the very first CD I got, basically. Besides the album Untouchables, which that was the first CD I ever owned. But this was the second ever CD I owned, which really weird that's what started my entire CD collection. Wow, that was 3 years ago now. Next up is their third record, Follow the Leader. I've stumbled. Follow the Leader, released in 1998 under Immortal and Epic. This is an original copy from 1998, and it is the club release. Next up is their fourth record, Issues, released in 1999 under Epic and Immortal Records. Once again, just like with the other ones, this is a reissue that I do not know when was pressed, but I can tell you this right now, it's not an original from 1999. This has got the very famous Falling Away From Me on it. Next up is their fifth record, Untouchables, which arguably is the worst condition CD in my entire collection, sadly. Because I really like this record. Released in 2002 under Epic and Immortal Records. They oddly formatted that on the back. This is an original copy from 2002. Next up is my favorite Korn record, their sixth one, Take a Look in the Mirror, released in 2003 under Epic and Immortal. This is an original from 2003. And once again, this also came in two different package styles. There was the special edition, I would kind of call it special limited edition, that was in a big digipack that folded out, and I think the 4 panels. Actually, no, I think it was 3. But it had a CD and a DVD. But this is obviously, you know, the standard release, which is in a jewel case, which just has the CD. Next up is the last Korn CD I gotta show, is their newest record, Requiem, released in 2022 under, what is that? Loma Vista Records. Never heard of them. Obviously, an original. I bought this for my birthday on 2022. I bought that for my birthday about 2 weeks after the album came out. Next up, we're going to go to the only CD I have by this band, and it's System of a Down, with their self-titled debut record. This came out in 1998 under American Recordings. It's got the really famous Sugar and Spiders. I had Toxicity, but I gave that to a friend. Next up, we're going to be diverging away from the metal for a little bit. We're going to go with the debut record from Third Eye Blind, released in 1997 under Elektra Records. This is a original. Oh, this is not a good case. Uh-oh, that's not a good case. This is a original copy from 1997. Next up, we're going to the only album by this band, and it's one of my favorite records in this entire genre. It is Silver Tide's Show and Tell, released in 2004 under J Records. Of course, this is actually a reissue. Once again, don't know when it was pressed, sadly. Now we're going to move back into the metal with the only album I have by this band, and it's Slipknot, with Iowa, released in 2001 under Roadrunner Records. Although this is the 2006 reissue, which sucks, but doesn't matter. It's still Iowa. Love that record. We're gonna go into the more of the new metal sound. I would consider Iowa to be a new metal record, but a little bit. We're gonna go full on new metal with the debut record from Linkin Park, which is Hybrid Theory, released in 2000 under Warner Brother Records. I almost picked up Meteora, but I mean, the sleeve condition looked amazing, but the disc was just not too good looking. I almost picked it up. If the disc was in good condition, I would have actually bought that. Reanimation was also there, but the actual digipack was there, but the disc was like a burned copy because apparently, like, similarly, the disc got broken or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it's an original copy from 2000. Next up, we're going to be moving away from the metal. yeah, for the rest of these, we're moving away from the metal, and we're gonna. Oh, I don't know, but this is not a metal record. It is the album Tub Thumper by Chumbawamba. I just picked this up because I thought it would be funny. Also, because this record's pretty good too. This came out in 1997 under Republic and Universal Records. Now this is also this is a original U.S. pressing from 1997. The UK pressing has a slightly different cover, but this is an original from 1997. Next up, we're gonna go to a really good record. It's actually one of the more recent CDs I picked up, and it's Alanis Morissette, "Jagged Little Pill." This came out in 1995 under Maverick Records, which, if you guys don't know, is also the same record label that released Deftones when they first came out. Which I'm still looking for some Deftones. But yeah, this record, I love this record so much. It's a really good record. Ooh, I'm closing that on the booklet. And that's an original from 1995. Okay, we're going slightly back into the metal with the second record by Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire. This came out in 1996 under Epic Records. Another Epic Records, goddamn. This is also a reissue that I do not know when was pressed. But, once again, it's Rage Against the Machine. It's one of my favorite albums by them, so fuck it. Next up, we're gonna go to grunge with a couple. These next couple of ones are gonna be grunge. We're gonna begin with Nirvana's Bleach. This came out in 1989 under Sub Pop Records. Although this is the 20th anniversary reissue, deluxe edition from 2009, which comes in a fold-out digipack cover. But of course, all normal CD issues of the album came in a jewel case. The CD is stored behind Christ's face, and is also stored inside of this little card sleeve, which I don't like, but it gets the job done. I've rarely played this, mainly due to the fact that the only thing I don't like about this release, is the fact that it's got a live recording on it, which that's not the reason why I don't like it. I really love the live recording on this. It's more of the fact that the live recording is on the same disc as the album. That means if you rip the album, you're also ripping the live recording too, which sucks, because I would rather have the studio album stored behind Kurt's face and then the live record stored behind here, because the booklet is stored underneath the Chad's head. But I'd rather have the live record have its own separate disc, so that you can just have the album to listen to, and then the live record to be separate. But that is a issue from 2009. Next up, we're going to go to their most commercially successful record, and that is Nevermind, released in 1991 under DGC Records, which... Oh, and Sub Pop Records. Sub Pop also did reissue this one too. This is the 30th anniversary release, which is how it's in this digipack cover. Luckily, with this release, however... I don't like how these CDs are packaged. Like both the openings are here. Oh, that's CD 2. That's not the first. That's not the album. But luckily, what's good about this issue, this release, this special edition, fucking come out. There we go. Yeah, I do not like this packaging. But what's good about this release is that okay, I can just show you one disc because both of them look the same. Is that the actual album is stored on one disc, and then all the live recordings are on a separate disc. That's really the only thing I like about this release is the fact that the live recordings on here do not sound that great, in my opinion. They're not that good. But luckily you get the album on its own separate disc. But this is a reissue from 2021. Next up is some Alice in Chains. We're going to begin with Dirt. This came out in 1991 under Columbia Records. Or 1992. I would have shown Sap, but I gave that to a friend, and the disc isn't, and the condition of the case is not that good. This is a reissue from I do not know when. Yep, see, the case is a little fucked. But great album overall, and is a classic, and you should have it in your record collection. Next up is my favorite release by Alice in Chains, and that is Jar of Flies. This came out in 1994 on Columbia Records. This is also a reissue from I do not know when. I'm planning on getting an original 1994 reissue and then just giving this to someone who likes them. Next up is a weird CD because it's a band that not many people know about, but this record did sell, I think, 200,000 copies, if I remember reading. It's a ska jazz record by a band called The W's, and it's called Fourth from the Last. This came out in 1997 under 1998 under Cerebellum Records. This is a Christian band per se, but their songs don't overly talk about God and stuff like that. I mean, they have a song called Moses and the Devil is Bad, but that's besides the point. It's not really a Christian record, but it is a Christian band. But forgot what it was called, but they made a theme song for like a VeggieTales thing, and that's kind of cool because I remember hearing that one. But that's the only record by them I have, and that is an original pressing from 1997, which they've never reissued with this record at all. Next up is a record that a lot of people probably also own. It's the first record by Oasis, Definitely Maybe. This came out in 1994 under Epic Records. But yeah, this is an original copy from 1994. And the booklet was falling out. Next up is another record that a lot of people probably know about, and that is Ugly Kid Joe's America's Least Wanted. This came out in 1992 or 91. It says both on there. I don't know when. But this is the second release, which is the club release of the record. But this also has the different artwork, because if you guys know the record, the album cover was the kid, but he was the Statue of Liberty. This is a different release, but it is original, and it's also the club release, if I didn't already mention that. Next up is another pretty good record. It is by Hootie and the Blowfish. It's their first record, Cracked Rear View. This came out in 1994 under Atlantic Records. This is an original copy from 1994. Next up is one that people probably know about, but I don't know about, is EMF's Schubert Dip. This came out in 1991 under EMI. EMI Records USA. This case is also a little messed up, so I gotta be careful about it. But this is an original copy. This is an original copy from 1991. That's the big CD stack. If you didn't already tell already, that's a lot of CDs. Shit. Okay. I'll be right back. Hold on a sec. Sorry about that. The stack fell and made a big mess. Alright, now we're going to go to the smaller stack here. We're going to be at the top with Limp Bizkit with their debut record, $3 Bill Y'all. This came out in 1997 under Flip and Interscope. I'm not sure if this is an original pressing because the runout matrix states that it's an original pressing, but also states that it's a reissue. So I don't quite know. But I do also have a second copy of this, which I remember seeing that it was a promotional copy from Argentina. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's all different artwork. Next up is the second record by Limp Bizkit, Significant Other. This came out in 1999 under Flip and Interscope. And this has the really famous break stuff and Nookie on it. This is an original copy from 1999. Next up is the third Limp Bizkit record, Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. This came out in 2000 under Flip and Interscope. And this is a reissue from I do not know when. Next up is a different band. It is Sugar Ray with their record 1459. This came out in 1999 under Atlantic Records, or Lava Atlantic. This is an original copy from 1999. Next up is a different band, one that inspired me a lot. It's Primus. We're going to begin with not their first record, which is not Suck on This or Frizzle Fry, but we're going with their second record, Sailing the Seas of Cheese. This was released in 1991 under Interscope Records, actually, and East West Records. This is a original copy from 1991. Got the really famous Jerry Was a Race Car Driver on it. Next up is my least favorite Primus record, Pork Soda. This came out in 1993 under Interscope and Atlantic Records. This is the club release, and just like some of the records here, this was also housed in a digipack cover that folded out. But of course I opted for the jewel case because that was the cheapest option, and also because it was a club release. Next up, we're going to one of my favorites by Primus. It is Tales from the Punchbowl. We're going to start off here with this copy, which is a standard release from 1995 under Interscope and Atlantic Records. But once again, this is the standard release from 1995 with the black CD tray. But I also have the sounds like something's broken in there. Alright, this is the enhanced CD copy from 1996 that has a little interactive media game, quote-unquote game, but it has a clear CD tray, instructions on how to install the program, and a different disc design. Both of these were originals, this one being 1996 and this other one being 95. Next up is my favorite Primus record, the Brown Album. This was released in 1997 under Interscope I looked for a spine, but there's no spine. Interscope Prawn Song and Interscope and Prawn Song. There you go. This is a deluxe. It's not a deluxe edition, but it comes in a slip case. But the original case, just like the back cover here, has this opaque brown case. But I dropped the case and it broke, so I had to opt for just a normal CD front. When you open it up, you got the disc and the booklet, which is this papery booklet. It's the disc. This is Primus Brown album. There were a couple issues of this. There was a normal, I think it's from Australia, but it was a normal jewel case. It had this as the front cover, and then the back cover was the back of this, just spanned out across the front. And then there was another reissue where the slip case, if you put it on top of here, slipped over the entirety of the case, same thing with the back, and the actual jewel case itself was this translucent orange and brown case. But I have the standard issue from the United States, and this is a original from 1997. Next up, we're going to punk rock and pop punk. I had 2 other records by Green Day, but I gave them to a friend as a birthday gift. So the only one I have to show for you is Nimrod. This was released in 1997 under Reprise Records. This is a original from 1997. Next up, we're going to the only CD I have by this band, and is The Offspring with Ixnay on the Ombre. This was released in 1997 under Columbia Records. I need to find Smash. Smash is such a good one. But Ixnay on the Ombre is just the only one I have right now. This is an original copy from 1997. Next up is the only CD I have by this band, and is NoFX, another punk band. And it is my favorite record by them, which is So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes. This came out in 1997 under Epitaph Records. This is an original from 1997. Next up, we got a couple CDs by this band. It is the Presidents of the United States of America. We're going to begin with their 1995 debut record, which is the self-titled record. This came out once again in 1995. Originally under Pop Llama Records, as you can see the logo here, which had a alternate disc design and an alternate picture here, which was the picture of them standing with Bill Clinton. But it was changed because that picture was not actually taken with Bill Clinton. It was edited by request of the White House to get it removed. And then a disc was like a Department of Agriculture, U.S. Department of Agriculture, whatever it was. It was a food stamp or something like that. I don't remember. But this was then reissued that same year under Columbia Records. And this is a reissue from I do not know when. Next up is my favorite record by the Presidents, that being 2. This came out in 1996 under Columbia Records. This is another reissue from I do not know when, but it doesn't matter. Next up, we're going back to the metal, baby, with Pantera. And we're starting off with Far Beyond Driven. This came out in 1994 under East West Records. This is a original from 1994. Next up, we're going to The Great Southern Trendkill. This came out in 1996 under East West Records. This is a weird CD because it's a reissue from I do not know when. It's a reissue from some unknown year. But I looked the Matrix run out, and this is a reissue from Europe, which is interesting. Next up, we're going to the only CD I have by him, and it's Moby's Play. I actually got this sealed, brand new, but the case is obviously broken, as you can tell. This came out in 1999. Thought it was 97. Under V2 Records. The case is broken, but and this is another reissue from I do not know when. Now, last up, we're going to three other CDs, and they're the most prized possessions of my collection for various reasons. We're going to begin with Buckethead. We're going to start off with his 1994 album, Giant Robot. This came out in 1994, originally under Sony Records, but was reissued in 2000 under Cyber Octave Records. Of course, I had the reissue, but I got it sealed with the hype sticker, and then after I unsealed it, I put it into a resealable sleeve, and the case has no scratches. I did open up the booklet to look at the pages, but practically no fingerprints, no scratches on the disc. No breaking. It is in mint condition. So, and then after I'm done looking at it, I take it and I put it back in here. Next up is a definitely more popular Buckethead record, and that's Coma, released in 1998 under Cyber Octave Records. Now, this is a reissue from I do not know when, but since this record was so popular, I can play it. I'm perfectly fine playing it. Next up is the most prized possession of my entire collection. That's usually I've saved it for last. It is by Cornbugs. It is the compilation Rest Home for Robots. This came out in 1996 under Rack-O Records. And the guitarist of the band is Buckethead, and the singer is the well-known Bill Moseley, who I follow on Twitter, who goes by Chop Top, obviously in the releases. This CD is in the mint condition. The case has no cracks, no nothing, no fingerprints. The disc has never been played, but for very good reason why it's never been played. It's because my dad got it signed by Bill Moseley back in 2006, I'm assuming. But it was signed by Bill Moseley. Bill Moseley held this in his hand and physically signed it. You get the disc has no scratches, no fingerprints, no nothing. Once again, this CD is in mint condition. So yeah, that's basically all I've got to show for you today in my CD collection. I'll go over vinyl records, but that won't be nearly as long as this video. Obviously, it won't be nearly as long. But this will go back in the fucking sleeve, please. Thank you very much. But it won't be anywhere near as long because I only got a couple. But that's all I've got to show for y'all today. If you guys want to see more CD updates, just let me know. Even though I probably won't listen to any of y'all, I'll just do it anyway. Alright, so that was it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in a new video. Bye-bye.